at the Gospel Coalition 2012 National Women's Conference. Enjoying our first day, relishing our first day. First thing I want to say is thank you, both of you, for being here, for participating, already offering many, many wise and encouraging words to this amazing group of women gathered.
Amazing.
So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good to be here.
You are in the midst of transition, and that's our topic. I heard a wonderful interview actually that you did with Justin Taylor and Jason Meyer, talking about transition, but you weren't there, Noel. And I would just love for you to talk about transition as a couple. How did you know, together or separately, or how that worked? How God led you as a couple through this transition process so far?
Yeah. It really has been very spotty. We never came to a point where we said, this is it, now we know. But rather, for some years, we've just wondered out loud, how long should we stay? Should we stay till we can't function anymore, which was a dream I had, and a lot of our folks would say, you can still preach, why are you leaving? And it seemed to us, number one, that we should probably leave while we're strong. And we were counseled by some wise people. If you drop dead, it's not easy for this church. You need to help the church make the change. And then I think I detected in myself plenty of energy to preach and less energy to dream long term and to manage this big thing that's grown up around the ministry. And so just a cluster of things came together that made it seem right. And so we just began to talk it at the elders, and then a process fell into place.
Yeah, we had been talking about it for a long time between the two of us and with close friends, and like he says, when's the best time?
So basically you walked through it, worked through it, prayed through it together.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And with friends
Oh,
and with
yeah.
the elders, yeah.
Right. And the church has been so good, always asking, what's Noel want to do? What's Noel thinking?
That's right.
They're
Yeah.
very, very vigilant over her heart.
That's true.
That is wonderful. You're all about, well, we call it, or you call it, Christian hedonism, joy, Jesus, being our joy. We think of that when we think of you both. How has joy characterized this process? Can you put together that theme with this process in your lives?
Oh, it's easy for me. What were you going to say?
You start.
I have not been happier for years. It's very strange. Very strange.
Really
I mean,
interesting.
I love the ministry. I'm not an unhappy pastor. But this last, I'd say from where are we now? June 2012. Since November, experience after experience in this process has made me weep with happiness. Weep with happiness. Because 2 years ago, I had no idea how this would happen. None. I just couldn't figure out, how can we do this? How can anybody step in here? How can I get the people to agree to a process? How can the elders be on the same page? Where will we look for, should it be inside or outside? And I didn't have any answers to any of those. And as God began to answer each of those questions with a totally unified search group and a totally unified eldership, and then the most stunning of all was the call for a business meeting. We never have more than 300 people at a business meeting, and 792 people showed up at this business meeting. On a closed ballot, 784 people said yes. His wife, Kara and Jason, their jaws just dropped as they said, okay, if we needed any evidence that God is in this thing, that 99% of our people gathering in that number would say yes. I have felt a happiness in this process, totally unexpected, and the grieving, I think, is only just beginning. And it's going to be incremental, and I think that's going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be hard for him to not be preaching every Sunday. But yet, I think we both feel a huge relief to know God has led us to this point, which is what we've been praying for and talking about for so long. And like you said, I couldn't see how it was going to be possible to pull all the pieces together and come up with a specific plan. And yet, here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
That is a great joy. And that's a great witness to the joy that you preach and you live.
Just to underline it, what has made me so happy is that I'm watching God love this church. I mean, this could really be bad. It could be bad. And it is so good. I'm saying, God, you are saying so loud and clear to this church, I love you. I have a future for you. What's been going on for 32 years is preparation, not consummation.
Yeah.
So that's what's made me so happy is I'm watching God love his church.
It's beautiful.
And there's a lot of joy that comes with the relief of, after all the months of wondering and uncertainty, to know, Lord willing, we know what will be happening now.
Yeah.
And, God gives us surprises along the way, but that kind of uncertainty behind us now, that's huge.
So that settled joy in knowing by God's grace. What do you look forward to ahead?
You go first this time.
In a lot of ways, I don't think my life is going to change a lot, but time will tell. I mean, obviously, we're not going to have the same interaction with people that we do now, and seeing the same people we do all the time now, and that'll be part of the grief process, as he said. But over time, we expect to be part of Bethlehem and be under Jason's ministry, and so we'll be there, but just in a different capacity. And time will tell what difference that makes.
Yeah. Let me preface what I look forward to with a fear that the Lord this morning said to me in my preparation and delivery of this message that I gave here, said to me, don't worry too much. The fear is I love to preach, and I love to preach regularly and build from week to week to my people. That's been my life for 32 years. That's going away. Preaching won't go away, but that will go away. And one of the reasons I love it is because God gives light to his ministers who want to feed his flock. He gives light that he doesn't give at random. When you're desperate on Friday to speak to the people you've been given, he comes through. He comes through, not random, he comes through for the people. Now that's going to go away. Well, last night, I was up till later than you want to know, putting all this together, and I was seeing things. So I said to Tony, who's sitting beside me, he said, you know what the Lord was saying to me? He was saying, I won't take that away. You will be speaking, and I will be teaching. You won't speak weekly at Bethlehem doesn't mean I'm going to take that gift of the pastoral life away. So, I got 4 expectations. Number 1, I want to write more. I want to teach in the seminary that we started more, and not just preaching. I'd like to teach some exegesis because I love to take a book and work it through with students. Number 3, I would like to encourage pastors, especially speaking internationally and locally, and 4, the family will be more flexibly attended to, I hope. So kind of in that order, it seems to me. Not the family last, but the three going: writing, teaching, speaking. And because writing right now is marginal in my life, and I'd like it to become central.
That is wonderful. Was it you who in your biography said not a specific number of grandchildren, but that you had an increasing number of grandchildren?
She told me not to say that anymore. I think it's just about, no. Every time I say, oh, that's right, it's over. She says, it's not over. We have a 16-year-old.
But
you'll obviously have more flexibility, as you say, to spend
and our kids are spread around different parts of the country, so it'll be easier to see them where they are. Yeah.
It could be a sensitive question, but I don't think it'll be sensitive for you. You are beautiful. You have gray hair, both of you. You are a model for people in so many ways. And you are being so intentional about this later part of your life here, which includes growing old. How do you feel about growing old? Can I ask you that?
Sure.
It's scary to me. If anything makes me feel depressed, it's the birthdays with the zeros, after the one that started with the 6,
Yeah.
and things that relate to that, and sort of the losses that come with life, getting older. So that is something that I deal with a lot. That
Yeah.
I hear you.
yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to write about it. R.C. Sproul said one time, "I'm not at all afraid to die. I'm just afraid of the process." And he said, "I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of dying." I think that's the way he said it.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of way Christians who have strong faith would say it. I just don't want to choke on my own saliva, in the middle of the night, kind of thing. But there are glorious texts on this from Isaiah where it says, I've carried you from your youth. I will carry you to your old age, and to gray hairs I will carry and will bear. So God has pledged to his people that in age, underneath are the everlasting arms. And another one is your leaves will remain green, and you will continue to bear fruit. And I personally have taken to heart the promise that you will declare my greatness to the next generation in your old age. So I feel the Lord saying to me, I'm not going to tell you how you're going to die or when you're going to die, but I do have significant things for you to do in your aging. And I think all of us learn that as your days, so shall your strength be, and we would trust the promises of future grace. I will take care of you. I'll uphold you. I'll strengthen you. I'll be there for you. You won't have a dying grace today. You will have a dying grace on the day you die.
We just heard Exodus 19. He'll carry us on eagle's wings all the way through. Well, I just thank you for your intentionality of planning for these years and witnessing to God's grace, even when we fear, and we all do, don't we? What can we pray for you as you go through these next months?
It's hard to know. It sort of comes from me day by day to know what those things are. But looking ahead to the time after we're finished in this role at Bethlehem, as the homemaker, the mother, the wife, I have a great desire that we would be most blessing to our children that we can, and to have wisdom about what that means and how to do it.
Amen.
The transition is not over. 10 more months at least, and I really want that to be sweet. I think the devil is very upset with what's happening at Bethlehem and would love to hammer us into some kind of disunity. So unity in the church, and I'm going to be preaching most of the time this fall, and what I want prayer for is that I could create, by God's grace, through the Holy Spirit, by the Word, the mindset that these 32 years that I've been with you have been preparation, not consummation.
The church is not us.
I want them to feel like as we hand off, we're not handing off to coast. We're not handing off to sit on past laurels. We're handing off because what's been put in place structurally and theologically and spiritually is all intended for something explosive. So that I'd like the Lord to give me the grace to create that mindset this fall.
When we were very young and had first arrived at Bethlehem, one of the older couples came to sit in his office and try to get acquainted with him, and to basically help him understand that the church had been there for 100 years and he was the new guy on the block. They were very kind about it, very gracious. But I think that's really good to remember now. The church is God's church, not ours, and we may have been there a lot of years now, but the church goes on. It's not dependent on us.
So that this should actually be not just not a hard time, but actually an exciting time of anticipation and feeling the flow of God at work.
It will be hard,
Yeah.
and it'll be very hard near the very end. I've had little tastes of it.
Yeah.
Little groups, for example, are being told the date. And as soon as they hear a date,
then it's real.
I got an email the other day from one of the departments in the church that we're told the date that we're actually done. And she said you could have heard a pin drop. People didn't know what to say when the reality of an actual date came. So I said on the other interview with Justin that I did, I lost my dad so incrementally through Alzheimer's that when he died, I didn't cry. I just lifted my hands and sang Amazing Grace. And I think the departure here there'll be so many groups that look me in the eye with tears 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and I with them, that when the last day comes, maybe we'll be able to blow the lid off with celebration without too many choke-ups.
Amen. Well, I pray you'll be blessed in these months ahead, that the Lord will sustain you and use you and keep using you in amazing ways. I pray that He'll keep you from all evil, that He'll keep your life, that He'll keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and evermore.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Catherine.
Thank you.